All right, welcome to a special edition Digital Recruiter podcast. I have a guest who is building an absolute rocket ship right now and started agency for like January 2025. And right around then, and I mean, they have taken off, cleared seven figures revenue in year one. Him and his co-founder are just taking off. They're scaling this team, and they're just crushing it. So I'm excited to get their story from one of their co-founders' perspective. Scott Smith, co-founder of Henry North. How you doing, man?
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me on today. Doing
Of course.
well. Yeah, I feel like the dream's coming true, getting to be a guest on the podcast
You
today.
know, you have made it. If no one's told you yet, now you haven't made it. It's official. So yes, it's oh man, it's great to have you here. I feel like the last time we talked was man the day I think after my son was born. You guys were like, Clark, like, hey, we need some help. Can we do a consulting call? I'm like, sure thing. And the next thing I know, I'm like, well, let's just keep this thing rolling, right? I think I got 1 hour. I got an hour to take this call. The 1 day old doesn't need me too much. So it's been crazy to kind of see from afar the trajectory ever since then, and what you guys are doing. But we'll love to kind of just get the breakdown of just kind of like, yeah, just share a little bit like Henry North, like the agency, what you guys focus on, and we'll start there.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I remember. I think it was a year ago this month
Yep.
because your little one had just kind of crossed the finish line on the year birthday. But yeah, so awesome to be here. Happy to talk a little bit about what our first year and a half in business has been. Maybe to give a little bit of background, I have been a recruiter since starting this business. So day one of being a professional recruiter was in our own organization. Prior to that, me and my co-founder both spent, I don't know, I probably spent 5 or 6 years. He spent nearly a decade in what's known as the material handling industrial automation industry. We oftentimes describe it as the people who supply the supply chain of the United States. So that could be, forklifts, industrial automation, robotics, conveyance systems, kind of anything and everything you see in an Amazon distribution center.
Yeah.
So we launched this thing about a year and a half ago. Our search firm is called Henry North, and yeah, man, I don't know if we have all the answers today, but we've been certainly moving the ball forward.
You never have all the answers. So as you mentioned, you guys just started recruiting really as you started the company. Why did you decide to leave careers where you're doing well at and get into recruiting?
Yeah, it's a great question. One we get asked a lot. We were both kind of climbing through the ranks of this organization as sales leaders, kind of together leading a team of sales reps and different titles, go to market functions across the Southeast. And one thing we realized is scaling teams at quality and quantity is very difficult, right? It doesn't matter what type of role or industry you're in, there is a challenge there. But once you overcome that challenge and you get the right seat, or the right person in the right seat, the game changes, right? Jim Collins has a lot of great stuff on this, but we kind of over time realized that that was the secret to success, especially in our industry. And man, we always had a little bit of entrepreneurial interest and endeavors of building and owning something and creating it yourself. So kind of learning and I don't know, figuring out how to grow our own sales teams, we kind of decided to help others in our industry do the same.
I love it. I love it. And so, talk to me because I feel like we talked right before the launch, and you guys did like a lot of prep. I feel like to get into this, like I don't know if you kind of go into like the preparation process because a lot of listeners here are thinking about going off on their own or have or just started. And I think to get to what you've accomplished, like you really have to like figure out, okay, the preparation, but like what should we prioritize? So I'm like curious about like the prep strategy first and kind of what went into it and then kind of how you prioritize like what you need to tackle first.
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know. I'll say this before we even thought about recruiting. It was probably 2 or 3 years ago. I was looking for podcasts. I was looking for people in the industry that had a voice, and our industry just felt like it was 20 years behind. There was no great content leaders or influencers. There was very siloed groups. Sometimes you had these like leadership groups where a couple of people within these certain dealer models would get together, and there wasn't really a good cross contamination for ideas to kind of push the industry forward collectively. So, man, if you can't find the content, create the content. So I
Yeah.
started taking a stab at posting on LinkedIn a handful of years ago to kind of build up my network in the industry and be the voice that I wanted as a rising sales rep and leader. And then as we kind of got closer to realizing that, hey, this recruiting thing has legs, we want to make this thing happen. We were probably, say, 60 to 90 days away from launch and decided to put together some, I don't know, maybe a little bit of strategic road mapping pre-launch. That included your typical things about websites and getting some vendors lined up for tech stack. But a real big importance was beginning to, I don't know, create our LinkedIn page and content and brand to position us for an official go launch video that we published on day one.
Nice, nice. It's so yeah. I mean, LinkedIn's been kind of a huge part of the strategy, and you started before you even launched. But yeah, I guess like from your perspective, what do you feel like making that a priority, staying consistent with it? Like, what has that done? How has that impacted the business?
Yeah, I think it's the single biggest reason for our success, to be honest with you. Now, the niche that we serve is the industry that we've been in for the last decade, so that we have a lot of, I don't know, just real day to day insights from firsthand experience living and breathing in the world that we serve today.
Mm.
But that translates so well to our audience on LinkedIn. It's easy to kind of post these, I don't know, maybe even GPT, AI based posts that are all about who you are and what you do, or even all focused around recruiting and talent acquisition and process and what's working out there. But that's not who or what your audience wants to see on LinkedIn. They want to hear about what's relevant to them and their teams, their day to day. There's a guy named Alex Hermosi. He's a business
Uh,
guru that a lot of people come across. And he said this thing about the time we launched this business. And it was, if you can describe somebody's pain better than them, they will innately feel like you can solve it for them.
mm-hmm.
So to answer your question in short, it is one of the biggest BD tools that we have. And it is probably one of the biggest reasons for our success so early on.
It's it's just always so nice and validating, right, to hear it come from you and not me all the time, because I'm obviously a believer and built a business around LinkedIn, the content and the marketing. I know that was one of the things that we talked about, me, you, and Cam talked about last year, and really honing in like just pain points and talking to hiring managers like don't get too carried away with the fluff, right? And the selfies of being entrepreneurs and the Lambos and everything else, is just like really be honed in, which you guys already knew. I think it was more validating it for you as well, just like really honing in on that piece of it. Because to your point, it's such a great quote. If you can identify the pain bigger than that, like better than they can, right? It's like they're going to keep coming back, even if that. And it's just what's important. And I'd love to get your take on the timing of when you would get leads, right? Because that's a big question I get all the time. It's like, it might not be today, but you might resonate today for when they need you 4 months from now. But they're never going to forget you until like those roles get approved or about to get approved. They're like, I got to reach out to Scott. And I know that's what happened. I don't know if how much like introspection you've done or evaluating you've done on like getting those inbound leads, or even kind of what I call like content led outbound, which is there's signals that they're paying attention to you, and you just kind of send that one message, right, to kind of tip it over the edge. But like, how were you tracking, like, quote unquote, the results of your content, if you will, in terms of driving revenue and leads?
Yeah, I would say it's really hard to track results and ROI of like what you're putting out there and what you're getting in return. But I'll tell you what, the more conversations that you have with people and you ask them, like, how did you kind of hear about us, or how did you see us around town? It always comes back to, man, I've been following your post for quite some time. And when you slid into my email, or when you sent me a connect request, or I saw the email come through, I was like, golly, it's about time these guys reached out. And
Yeah.
every time you get that validation, it's like, okay, this stuff's working, even if it takes some time. I'll tell you, when we originally jumped on the call with you around the time of our launch, man, we were trying to figure things out with organic content. Every single time you press the post button, it was cringeworthy, right? You didn't feel if your peers liked it or if they were judging you for it. It was probably a little bit of both, but I think one of the pieces of advice you gave us was like, you just got to do it, and over time you're going to get better, and you can figure out maybe some different campaigns and tech stacks to kind of align with your organic content. But it all starts with just pressing that post button and getting your name out there.
Yeah, better published than perfect, especially in year one, right? But even year four, I'm going, well, one, two, three, four. I'm going into year five of posting, and I got typos. Well, now my typos show that I wrote the post, so it's like not a bad thing to have typos. But like sometimes it's just like like grip it or rip it, right? With golf or baseball or something like that. It's just like same thing with content. You just got to get out there. But I think to your point, when it's a lot easier when you know the pain point in and out.
Hmm.
Like I know what agency recruiters are going through. You know what people in material handling space are going through. So it's like just keep track of your pain points. And if you're going to leverage AI, one of the things I like doing is have it create like, hey, what are the kind of the pain points and what are the different ways to tell a story, and the snowball effect, right? The snowball calendar. What's one story? How can I spin it 10 different ways, right? That's how people should be using AI, is the different ways to hone in on the pain points, but you know the pain points better than AI is going to know them, right? And they might be able to help you articulate it, but like voice to text and Claude or Manus or ChatGPT or something of like, hey, this is a story. This is what my client was going through. Can you highlight the pain points from this story, right? Or like that's how you should be working it. And then study content, study copywriting, and all that good stuff, right? Whether it's through us or someone else, like that is so important. To your point, if you know the pain points, it should become a lot easier, and the quality of your post is going to go up a ton. I can't even look back at my post 4 years ago because I probably would cringe. I'm like, oh, I was really saying that or promoting, like, but like that's all of us.
Yeah.
And that's all of us in business and sales and content. Like, if you don't have that, right? It's like Tom Brady is a rookie, or Peyton Manning is a rookie. I think set the interceptions record for a quarterback. So, like, still the second greatest, maybe of all time, obviously behind Brady. I'm a New England guy, but like, it's just like it's never really going to be pretty in the first year. But here's the thing, people respect it. They can actually see you getting better at it too. And then they actually have more respect on. And then it's like, wait, how are you recruiting and doing this and content marketing? And they figure out some people are super jealous of it and like, don't worry about them. But some people are just like, hey, you could do all those things and post great content and you understand me. Like they build that respect over time. And I've even had people come to me, hey, I've seen your evolution. It's just like now I'm ready to like it's just the right timing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
great. Like, wasn't ready 4 years ago, and it is now. And you guys are going to keep benefiting from this in year two, year three, year four, because like you just got going, even when it was easy to quit. Which is so kudos to you.
Yeah, yeah, and we can definitely talk about a little bit of that grit and resilience here in a minute because there's even today that's a big piece of our daily lives. But you were talking about pain points a minute ago, and you know who knows more pain than we do, even after being in the industry for a decade? It's the candidates and clients we're talking to every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And with the technology we have today to have these AI note takers, like all it takes is for you to ask some more second and third layer questions in some of those early on screens or those job order intakes, and your content's right there created for you. All you have to do is upload it into a Claude or another AI tool and throw what you said, like create a couple of different angles for some unique posts, and then make sure that you put a little bit of authenticity to it, and now you have a content strategy, right? So
I'm so happy you said that. Yeah, the second and third layer, just the diving deeper, just the slowing down to dig in, and just the well, what do you mean by that, right? Asking for clarity. Like I'm a C plus student, so and I was C plus student, so like I asked C plus student questions, which is like I don't know what you mean or what does that mean, like or explain further and all that, and people do, and that's like I think not taking the stock or the initial answer, but also not pushing it like like you're interrogating them, but like out of pure curiosity and really taking that tone. You're so correct. That's where the gold is. And then with the transcript, I mean, it's just insane what you can pull from that. I mean, my team is pulling stuff from coaching calls, our content interview calls, left and right. I mean, we could create playbooks for clients. That's like, and that's what we've been doing. Is just like, here's your content like library in your store. Like, here's where to add more stories, and here's how to think about content, and here's everything that we've asked you already, and like the post. It's like this whole library that we're building for each client, and it's just like there it is. Like you're good. It's like we're using everything. I mean, it's one thing to have the note takers, another thing to actually use it, right? To your point. And so now there's so much data, but we're finding like who's using that data and that information to your point, to create that content like a little bit quicker, right? Or maybe 10, 15 extra posts a month that are still legit and still like good and kind of based off what you've written. It's just like, where can you look for those, not necessarily shortcuts, but taking something that's working, that's good, and like amplify it a little bit, or maybe create a little bit more volume with the quality, right? Without sacrificing quality. There's really no excuse for it as long as you're just getting the right intake. It's like it's sitting there.
Yeah, there's definitely no excuses. I mean, there's always, if you're running a full desk or an agency these days, like you are busier than the next guy without a doubt, right? Like this industry demands a lot of man hours. But if you have the right niche and you create the right content, I swear the BD is going to come your way, regardless of how much outbound you do.
Yeah, we'll talk mindset, but I'm glad you said the word niche because it's always something I get asked all the time. I mean, it kind of made sense for both of you to like lean into what you have known, but what on being new to the recruiting side, what has the niche dominance and kind of having that piece of it done for you for both of you?
Yeah, I'll say this: is we were terrified of kind of leaning into that niche right out of the gate. We had done a lot of, I say a lot of target mapping. We paid some people on Fiverr and used our industry knowledge to put together an Excel spreadsheet, right? But we had identified maybe 200 or 300 premier target accounts, and we thought we were going to blow through those in the first 90 days, and we were going to look up and like our online brand's going to have to change. We're going to have to change our website copy, all of our messaging. And I think the more that we niche down, the more we realized there was more meat on the bone. There was more opportunity out there than we could ever go and get ourselves. And we also realized that our average client revenue is a lot higher than what we anticipated it being because they decided to use us instead of the 3 or 4 different firms that just threw 30 different resumes their way because they didn't understand the industry or the day to day or the need, or they weren't targeted in their approach. So there's a lot of downstream effects too of serving that niche the right way.
God, it's so good. I mean, that's the missing piece with the niche, and that's what I try to impart on recruiters is the hiring managers are not waking up every day going, gee, I can't wait to sign on another recruiting agency. Right? It's like giving them the reason, what's the differentiator, and it's like what are they sick of, to your point, having, especially in that's your space, to get a bunch of spray and pray type resume approach from other agencies. So just even having that discipline, right, to your point, there are so many companies and just the revenue, but there's so much market share to be had because yes, there's a lot of agencies, but there's not a lot of good agencies. A lot of recruiters doing it the right way. Just having that discipline, having those boundaries, like it resonates. And the better you are recruiting, the better your content's going to be too. So it's like if you want better content, get better reps in at the work and at the job, and it will become but just it will become better because you're better, right? And I think that piece of it again, that's what's resonating. People have tried the generalist approach. They're looking for the above and beyond. They'll pay the rates and everything else. Like they will pay for that if you can quantify right the value, obviously not having the role filled. But just coming at it a little bit more strategically, not majority of agencies just straight up just don't. And it's always a huge opportunity there. And there's nothing like LinkedIn to kind of get out in front of that, but you can target the ICP right then and there and kind of get in front of them on the feed. I mean, there's nothing else like it.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing too, speaking about like building your entire business to serve one specific client. It does not turn off clients who do not fit in that category. If they hear about your success and they jump on a call with you and you can still learn to speak their language, like for an example, one of our biggest clients or our biggest client in all of the last 12 months, rolling 12 months, was outside of her niche. So outside of her niche. And they were probably, probably 2 times bigger than our second biggest account. And that's with all of our content and all of our website and all of our copy material directing to a completely different buyer. So it doesn't even scare off the wrong people if you're doing good work.
And so what they were drawn in, why did they initially even talk to you?
Yeah, we had actually reached out to them on accident, and they were in our circle. So the president of the organization was a Mercer alum, the college that I went to, and so I think we had some mutual connections. And he just saw us being loud and aggressive and hiring sales reps in the market. He was like, "I need that. Can you guys shift to our industry?" And it worked.
There you go. I mean, it's you've just answered all the objections people have, even going niche. It's like if people trust the process and they like you, they're gonna just at least want to talk to you to see. It's like just to see, like right, and then just having that again. If you did the intake and had the discipline to qualify it the right way, making sure that there's a fit there. It's like our process can work across the board. Um, so that's awesome. Let's go into the mindset piece, right? Because there's this is a grind. This business is a grind, and it chews people up, spits them out. It takes no prisoners, like all those cliches. But how have both you how have you and your team really just like managed that kind of day to day? And kind of like what are some like kind of key things that you guys do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to just kind of continue to lock in and kind of have that foundational resiliency?
Yeah, I don't know if it's anything that we do to kind of create a resiliency for the team. I think it's all about making sure that the person has that before they even get on the team.
Yeah.
And then you kind of create and foster an environment on the team that supports what it takes to be successful. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the guy was running a marketing agency, and he was speaking about how he personally liked to have a chill culture where he just wanted to bring in a bunch of entrepreneurs who wanted to take care of their own desk, and then he wanted to create a cool environment for everyone to enjoy. And he said it nearly destroyed his business because in the agency model, a lot of times it is the manpower and muscle that pushes things forward on a day-to-day basis. And the moment he changed the chill culture to a performance-driven environment where we're going to go out there and win and dominate the market no matter the cost, and we're going to have a fun time doing it, that's what it takes to be successful in this world. Now, AI may change that a little bit, and a lot of these organizations may just want to, make a couple $100,000 a year on their desk, and that's okay too. Like that's the beauty of this industry is you can create your own game that you want to play.
Yeah.
But for us and our growth strategies, it is going to be scaling up to a high level of revenue with a high number of teammates. And so making sure that those team members are ready to sign up for that fight, have that resilience to be in the trenches every single day, but also to celebrate in Cabo at the end of the year on President's Club is also a big thing.
Yeah, love that. So you guys have already set up President's Club, all that stuff, year two.
Yeah, we haven't announced where we're going yet, but we're taking a few of our top performers out there this year for sure.
Nice. Okay. Why is that something important for you to do at this stage? Because there's not a lot of companies, right, in the smaller range at that moment will do something like that.
Yeah, I think you got to treat your A players like A players, right?
Yeah.
You got to roll out the red carpet even if they've been on the team for quite some time. And I also think it's you got to create the environment people want to be in, not only the current team members, but also the people that we're trying to attract to bring into our organization. And also selfishly, it's a great time. Like I want to celebrate the wins, and I want to be there with the team and give them high fives or $1,000 cash out of the blue just to show their appreciation for all their work we do. Because dude, I'll tell you what, on a Monday through Friday, 52 days or 52 weeks a year, like dude, you're getting punched in the gut day in and day out. Candidates are going to ghost, clients are going to make stupid decisions or sit on offers or come in and lowball and want to negotiate. This is a game where your batting average is typically lower than what you want it to be, but you got to keep getting up to the plate.
I mean, it's just like they used to say back in the day before analytics. It's like three getting out 7 out of 10 times in baseball can still get you to the Hall of Fame. I don't know what that number is anymore, if that's even still relevant, but it really is just that. Like you're just you have to internalize no as just like a not right now. And then it just obviously right set up the expectations and all that to kind of minimize as much of the damage that's going to happen. There's going to be some eggs cracked, like no matter what. Um, and I think it's kind of how you respond, not react. That really is I've seen just over and over from owners like yourself and Camp and everyone else. It's like that trait right there. I think does so much for people, and then also just like not like give like knowing like when you've tapped out of candidates, if you will, or when like you can keep digging, right? Versus like, is it the role or is it the effort? I think that's like always one of the things I see like really be the divider between some of the high performers that I see. It's like make that extra call, make that you're gonna call 502, 505, like that extra list, and like not there have to be 100 more calls at 5 o'clock, but just like let me see what I can do. Like, can I do a few extra dials, like a few extra messages, and like or get that post out or schedule that extra post out for tomorrow, like just like little bit, like you do a little bit of that every day versus just like there's no one out there. and you kind of just like sit back. Right? I don't know about you, but like that's like the inches in the game. Any given Sunday reference, that's kind of what it is at times from just like hundreds of recruiters I've talked to and worked with. Uh, Not sure what your thoughts are on that, but
No, you have a lot of good stuff there. Like when you think about serving a specific niche too, anything that you do or commit to, your brand and your name is now attached to it
yeah,
in several different levels. On and speaking with all of the candidates who are currently in the industry, or serving the client and the client's peers and their own network too,
yeah,
right? So everything that you put your name on has a significant weight when you do niche down. But I'll tell you this, like if you commit to the right clients, if you ask the good questions on the job order intakes, and you don't just roll over and say, hey, I'll see if I can find somebody in the market. And you ask those, again, those second and third layer questions before you even truly partner, the search is going to be that much more easy. And like, you also just have to have the mindset of like, I'm going to find a way to win regardless of what it takes.
yeah.
And sometimes that takes resetting expectations on the compensation or the geography or the level of tenure with the client. But if you don't allow yourself an option to roll over and quit, like you're going to find a way to win.
Yeah, create the constraints, right? That create the successful, environment and just yeah, and getting those wins. I know that's great. I love that. The It's kind of adjacent to what we're just talking about here, but one thing that you highlighted before that I want to make sure we talked about or before we recorded was just how you bring value to clients beyond resumes, because this is one of the biggest roadblocks I see recruiters have is if they don't have a role, why should I meet with them? Why should they meet with me? And it's so interesting that you have success on LinkedIn content, because a lot of times I'm trying to show people like just get meetings. If they have the right title, talk to them, but they're looking for a job. I don't care. Like, you don't have to talk to everyone that's looking for a job, but like try to really understand. So your point, the second and third layer question, but like, what are some other ways that clients or prospective clients like that you bring value to them?
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I think living and breathing in the industry before starting this firm was a big piece and reason as to why we can deliver that type of value and the depth of value that we do. But I would almost go to say that that level of consultative partnership is the reason why we get paid the high fees that we do. A lot of people can find resumes, but getting the candidate on the hook and delivered to them in the right way, it's one of the easier things to do about this job. We were on a call earlier today with the president of an organization in the Midwest, and he was looking to hire two positions, and he didn't know competitive compensation ranges. He didn't know what the job description should look like. He didn't know what the bonus metrics should be for these roles. And we were able to kind of sit there and walk through every single one of those things and basically give him the keys to success or the roadmap of what he should be looking for, the questions he should be asking in the interview process, what the first 6 months or the first 12 months of success should look like. And man, like if you go and do that for a lot of these clients, they're not going to even consider
Yeah.
a different type of partner out there. And they're not even going to bid you with a competitive bid or competitive quote, because there is no one else that can do what you do in the world that you live in. So,
Imagine doing that just once a week for a year. Like
mhm.
that could be the quality of the meeting that you need, right? If it's the right targeting, the right content, and just be like, hey, anyone even posting it publicly or in the DMs, like if there's any role that I can kind of consult you on, like you're making me think of some more messaging to even do and testing out outreach, like let me know. And I think, but part of it is really understanding and having the ability, right, to then level that up and match that piece of it on your end, which you both have, which is great. But even just at that piece, you're right. Like you don't think 10 of those people can become clients, right, in a year? I mean, it's like when you really dwindle the numbers to the approach and what you can bring to the table, you don't need volume. Like it does not have to be crazy. So it's
Yeah.
and now with you talk about the AI piece of it and the note taker. I mean, you can create one page. I'm creating one page websites for people of like, hey, I took our call, your pain points, what we've done, and just created like a web page on like everything, just like a little bit of a one pager, easy to read and access. And like, here's the roadmap. Here's how the timeline would look like, the success stories related to you, content that's related to you. I'm like, you can do that just based off a 30-minute call. right?
Yeah.
That's recorded, and really make it simple and add the extra level of value. There really is no excuse anymore to do that because it's not nearly as time intensive as it used to be.
Yeah, yeah. And I like to make things tactical too, because like a lot of people could sit here and listen to this podcast and say, Scott Clark, I haven't spent a decade in the industry. I'm not an expert today to the degree that I could sit there and talk to a president about what he needs to do. But you know what you can do is every single time you get a person like that on the phone, ask them 3 or 4 questions to learn about what they're doing well in the market, the pains that they're experiencing. And if you do that enough times, you will now have the information, albeit surface level, it'll still be enough to get a pretty sharp hook into a lot of really good accounts.
Absolutely. Yeah, you could do that, get some research. And the funny thing is, some people, when you're a newbie, will give you a chance because you're a newbie if you're asking the right questions. And then there's some people that will never work with you because you're a newbie. And so you just have to figure out which is which. And that's like one thing I've done to help reframe people that entry level. I mean, for your point, ask the right questions, just be curious, right? Seek to understand, and just know some people are going to buy and some people aren't. And then some people that don't buy in year one, they will buy in year 3, year 4, year 5. And don't get too hung up on that because you can still get value out of the conversation. You could still learn, right? And not take things so personally, because it's like I'm sure you probably even you guys had that, right? People that maybe didn't sign up right away and then like they will down the road, or it's like, hey, you guys were newer, we tried something else, it didn't work, but like love to see that what you're building. And if you haven't had that, you probably will have that at some point. And I know I have to. I mean, it's just a rite of passage for every new business. So I think there's like that piece of it. It's just like the whole story's not told in the beginning, right? It's the beginning for a reason. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, great advice in terms of just like not having to be scared because like it's just everyone's just people at the end of the day. They're trying to solve problems. Just get curious about what problems those are.
Yeah, yeah, it was really difficult for us early on to have that long term perspective and mindset because like we got to put food on the table. We got to
Yeah,
bring in some POs and orders, right? So you're trying really hard to go and get those orders. But one thing we did learn really our first year, first 12 months was that it's really never a no; it's always a win. Like if they go another route, whether it's an agnostic recruiting firm, maybe they try to go in house a little bit longer, maybe they try that internal employee referral hire and just roll
yeah.
the dice on an unqualified candidate. Like there's so much pain in this industry, and if you just stick around long enough and continue to build a good brand, be reputable, be trustworthy, be present. You are going to get a call back, and when it's the right time for them, they will make it easy for you.
There is so much pain in this industry. Amen. That will never change. Hiring is screwed up almost everywhere. Even if it's perfect, all it takes is someone quitting to change the upend all that. So just be in the arena, right? Teddy Roosevelt, the man in the arena or woman in the arena, just be in the arena and play the game. And to your point, do enough that you have food on the table and just keep surviving, survive in advance, right? We're in March, right? March Madness. I mean, that's the key. It's just like keep going because you will get your opportunities. And I think also just be pleasant, have a great attitude. Like you and Camp are just like great to talk to, easy to talk to. It's always great conversations. But I also know you guys work tremendously hard. Like hard work and just being pleasant goes a long way in this business, in the service business. So you might not say that for yourself, so I'll say it for you. But like, just for anyone listening, like that's a huge piece of it. The people I see struggle, they're DMing me. I look at their content. I see how they even talk to me. It's a lot of like, it's just a negative attitude, and that does not translate well. Like that will
Yeah.
never, ever fly.
It's got to be positive. I mean, only for your sanity and for the people that you're talking to every single day. It's the emotions are contagious.
Yes.
Completely agree with you there. Also, just a quick note: my co-founder is an incredible human being, personable. He can sit down and have a beer with just about anybody,
Yep.
and everyone will walk away great friends. Me, on the other hand, I'm a little bit more analytical and goal oriented, so I'll skip past some of the relationships at times, and I got to slow down and work on that. But he tells our team every single morning, just go be good dudes, go be good, authentic human beings who want to help others, and everything else will take care of itself as long as you're getting out there and doing the right things.
Yeah. I love that. Wise words, and also having a daily meeting. Pretty important. Are you guys in? One last question: are you in the remote, in office? Like, how's the team all kind of structured?
Yeah, right now most of the team's based in Atlanta, but we are fully remote. We've been doing some
Yeah.
tours lately and trying to see if it's something we want to do. I think long term hybrid approach is going to be good for cross contamination and collaboration, for learning and development, for culture,
Mm.
for success. But for now and probably the next 6 to 12 months, we'll be staying remote.
Yeah, and I'm always curious because there's having been at the Aerotech and in person, all in person, now been remote the last few years. I do miss some of the stuff with being in person and all that piece of it. Also, being hybrid does limit you from a geographical standpoint, which could be fine, right? But obviously it can be limiting. But there is that kind of sense, especially in recruiting. It's just like it's kind of nice to kind of meet up and learn and kind of do the in person training. And I did a bunch of it last year, and looking to do more of it this year. And kind of again have the team come out to Columbus and stuff, and just do more kind of interactive things like that as well. It just there is just a magic there that's really hard to replicate working remote, and buy-in. So no, it's cool to hear that you guys are doing that. At least taking initiative to do more stuff in person. Obviously, having the President's Club set up and everything else like as well. I just think it's important to build that camaraderie, even if it's at least once a quarter if everyone is remote. Just I don't know, just something I've seen just work really well for the teams that are doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Like we'll do team get-togethers. We got everybody flying into town for a big industry conference and a Braves game and a boozy steak dinner. And in a couple of months, we're all gonna go to this monster Airbnb lake home and rent a ski boat. So you got to do things like that if you're going to go remote. You also have to be really good with KPIs, accountability, and coaching. It
Yeah,
is that much more difficult to do when you're remote. Now, if you have a more tenured and experienced team that can have success with less structure. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit more of a recipe for success. But if you're that I don't know, that Aerotech, the new grad factory, a
yeah,
bunch of people 2, 3, 4 years into their career, I would have a hard time not being in office the majority of the days.
absolutely, absolutely. What's the most important KPI? Do you feel like for you?
On the
Recruiting
deliver,
side, yeah.
the recruiting side, I would say it's the number of quality screens on a weekly basis.
Is that do you vet that by the people that get interviews, or how do you
Yeah,
define
so
quality? Yeah,
yeah, quality would mean are they able to get? We've identified like 6 or 7 key pieces of information that every screen needs to have in order to be like a full vetted screen that actually leads to a relationship and conversation. So as long as those 6 or 7 buckets of information are hit, we count it as a screen.
nice, nice. Yeah, it's. I think that's important, right? To have the 6 or 7 kind of knocked off. I think like the most basic one when there's like I'm looking at quality, it's just like is the client interviewing them, because if the client said like yes we'll interview, depending on how the intake is not perfect, but it's always the first one. I don't The submittals to me are just such a random metric of, now again, quality screens to quality submittal, right? If you're really tracking that in depth is one thing. I think looking at that interview, for anyone that's listening, it's like, hey, where do I even start? Like having the checklist for a quality screen, make sure that's filled out for sure. And then is your client actually interviewing? Because if you have 100 submittals, only 5 get interviews, which does happen. I've heard some horror stories. It's like, what are the 95? Like, what is that? What's the point even of that happening?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that metric obviously could change too for a lot of different reasons. There's a lot of organizations in our space that are candidate led recruiters. They take that NPC approach to market,
Yep.
and that attributes to 80% of their revenue. And those metrics on a weekly basis are going to be way more different than a retained and exclusive partnership that's client led. Then you're headhunting the candidates, but.
Correct.
But yeah, knowing your numbers and knowing what's important and doing a little bit of napkin math is always a good thing.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. Any last things that you want to share with the audience? Words of wisdom before we wrap this up.
Reach out to old Clark; he'll help you out. He'll get you on that
Mm.
organic content. Mindset's a big thing. Stay positive. Do so much work that it's impossible for a failure to occur. And if you're looking for a great team to join that rocket ship that you mentioned a minute ago, reach out. We're always bringing on top talent.
Absolutely. We'll have your LinkedIn URL in the episode summary. So definitely connect with Scott if you're a recruiter listening to this and looking for an opportunity, a great place to just be at that is on the up and up. I got a few in my DMs that I'm just going to keep tagging you. So be careful what you wish for. I'll be tagging you. Hey, you might have to move to Atlanta, but it might be worth it. So, if anyone asks who's hiring, so I will make sure to do that. Hey, Scott, man, thanks for being here. Great catching up with you, and congrats on success. I know in so many ways it's just the beginning, and excited just to continue to follow you and the Henry North journey.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure being on today. Thanks so much.
Likewise. Well, make sure to subscribe, give this 5 stars if you got some value from it, which I know you did, especially if you're at this point in the podcast. And until next time, y'all, happy hunting.